Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Halloween!
Oh, Halloween!
This is the spookiest thing I think we're doing for Halloween,
This
Tom.
is the most spine-tingliest episode of whatever this show is.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
My name is David Bell.
My name isn't. It's Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Coraline.
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 Puppets.
Coraline Jones always dreamed of finding a better world. A world more exciting than this. But never did she imagine that she'd discover it in her own home.
Hey.
Hey.
Big thank you. Big thank you to Harris and Millie. Those are our Patreon subscribers who had us do Coraline just in time for the spooky
Just in time for
season.
Spookies. It's a special Spook 'em Up episode, so
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're
Creeptastic puppet movie.
We're Halloween themed, can't you tell?
Mm-hmm.
I am in a full outfit, a full costume here.
Yeah, I'm sweating my ass off in a Frankenstein costume.
Mm-hmm, and I am a werewolf.
Sitting in a bathtub full of candy corn.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Especially since I had never seen this movie, Coraline.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's I'm sure everybody listening is familiar. It's the 2009 film, stop motion, directed by Henry Selick, who made The Nightmare Before Christmas, based on the
Monkey Bone.
And Monkey Bone, based on the book by Neil Gaiman. I believe the first film from Laika Studios. I think.
Wow.
I believe it's the first.
Yeah, it's got Terry Hatcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Ian McShane. It's got Keith David as a cat.
Hell yeah, it does.
I actually forget who plays Coraline, but I think that's a person too.
Dakota Fanning.
There we are. Yeah, you'd seen this before?
I did. I saw this in the theater back when it came out, because I'm a big old Nightmare Before Christmas mark.
Oh, yeah.
And now, I mean, in the years since, I've become a big Laika mark, so.
Oh, yeah. What are your thoughts on Coraline? How do you like Coraline?
I like this movie a lot. I think it's really good.
I really like it as well. I almost you can't really compare the two, but I almost liked it more than I liked Nightmare Before Christmas, even though I have way more nostalgia for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're both great movies.
Yeah, and they're really I both understand the immediate urge to compare them because it's the same director and they're both stop motion, but also I understand and agree with the other part of what you said, which is that they're not, it's apples to oranges. They're not the same kind of movie.
Right, and I just like this orange better because, all right, so it's removed from Tim Burton completely.
Yeah, this is nothing to do with Tim Burton.
Yeah, and there's something in the aesthetic in this that I find cozy.
It's a very cozy movie, yeah. Weird, well, parts of it, but I totally understand what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, there's this grit and texture to it that a film like Nightmare Before Christmas still had, but it was a little more, again, kids-friendly isn't the word. It's just a style of art. It's a different style. There's a slowness to the tone, to the beats that actually made it feel almost like a foreign film. It reminded me of like a Wallace and Gromit or like that German Alice in Wonderland film that's a nightmare.
Yeah, or like Miri and Max, I think. No, that's not right.
I don't know.
No, that's Miramax. There's I'll look it up. It's a Australian stop motion film from around the same time.
Yeah, there's like kind of these like just quiet beats, very slow zooms, very older techniques in it. And then just the setting. It's this warm gothic setting. There's fog. It's rainy in like a cozy way. There's pines. There's like it's like feels familiar. It feels like childhood.
Mm-hmm.
The old house, that's just kind of very cozy. The Pink Palace is, I think, what they call it, which sounds like a strip club. But it's the house. And then you got your good old weird, creepy kid on a dirt bike.
Yep, wearing a fireman's coat and a welder's mask.
Yeah.
Mary and Max is a film I'm thinking of. But
Mary and Max.
Yeah, it feels more like... This feels like a fairy tale book that you read aloud to, like, slightly older children.
Yeah, or, like, depressed younger children.
Right, like real edgelord sad boy children. Yeah,
it is a... I think for kids, this would be a deeply terrifying movie.
In parts, for sure.
It's like the general concept. It's Lovecraftian. It's this idea of like this creature that's just like sucking the life out of. That's essentially a spider.
Yeah,
like that's what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. Hiding in this dimension in this house. Just like stealing kids and then slowly taking their life force and their eyes.
Yeah.
And sewing little buttons on. There's just something very compelling and horrifying about the imagery in this movie. The people with the fucking buttons sewed to their goddamn heads.
I like that it's not over the top with it. You know what I mean? Like it's this idea that is potentially very frightening. The idea that this being, which is essentially, like you said, a Lovecraftian creature called the Beldam, who lives in this pocket dimension around this boarding house, and who is a puppet master. She makes puppets. She makes puppet duplicates of people in the real world to lure children into her world to love them, but in her version of loving them is draining their life force and killing them.
Yeah, which is like loving anything, really.
It's basically like loving anything, yeah.
Yeah. It's... Man, it's quite something.
It really is, yeah. So the idea is very frightening, and the visuals are very striking and potentially very frightening, but it never goes super over the top. Like, it never has... I mean, it does, but it never gets quite as deliberately intense as, like, Return to Oz. Like when she's getting chased by the headless queen or something.
Oh, yeah, yes.
It's less... It doesn't lean into the horror. The horror is there as a backdrop and as... thematically it's there, but it doesn't, it feels like storybook horror, if that makes sense.
But it does feel like something that would really fuck up a child's brain.
Yes.
Because the concepts are a little more abstract than a lot. It's not a witch that wants to eat children. Like, she is faced with versions of her parents that are like these like
ideal
weird
versions.
Ideal, and then they become these like twisted versions.
Yeah.
And the idea of like your parent is not your parent, everything's a little off. This world slowly becomes sinister.
Yeah.
It's very haunting. I also learned this is where that fucking meme comes from with the guy at the computer. The dad at the computer. Yeah. So that was cool. Should we explain the plot? There's a lot here, but the sequences themselves are rather simple. There's a lot of times where the movie just stops and like enjoys itself. Just like is like, here's a little mouse circus, and it's like, all right, I'll watch this mouse circus run by Ian McShane.
The surprising thing about this movie, especially when you compare it to like later stuff that Leica did, like Kubo and the Two Strings or like Missing Link, is how contained it is. It's all within this boarding house and the surrounding grounds.
That's the other thing I realize is that if this was a live action film, it would be low budget.
Yeah.
Because it's all in one location except for once where they go into town. Otherwise, it's just this house. And what makes that really cool is that it's different layers of the same location. There's the regular world house, and they do this thing where I found it cozy, but it's meant to be gloomy. The house it's about a little girl and her family, and they've just moved into this house. And they're moving in. She's still unpacking. They're exploring the area. And it's very rainy, and there's nothing to do. And the parents are both workaholics, and so they're both just at their computers all the time.
Yeah.
And so she just has nothing to do, and it's just and she misses her friends, and it's supposed to be very depressing, the setting. And then one night she finds a portal. She finds this door that's been painted over.
She finds the Pennywise door in her parlor. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. I mean, this movie is very close to It and like Stranger Things.
Yeah, for sure.
The idea of children crossing over to a parallel dimension, that's horrifying.
Yeah, and it's bricked off, but at night it turns into a portal. So it's like, it seems like a dream. And she goes through the portal, and there is a warmer, nicer version of the house with her parents. They're preparing her a beautiful meal. All her neighbors are less weird. It's very much to me like how a child imagines, how do I word this? Like a child's expectations of something.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we're going to the flea market. And then you're imagining like this like fanciful market run by fleas,
flea grocers.
Yeah. It's very much that. Like her neighbor, his
flea
circus,
haberdashery, sorry.
Yeah. His circus is incredible, and the downstairs neighbors with the dogs that they routinely stuff and dress like angels.
I like what were their names? It was Miss Spink and Miss Forceful.
Yeah.
Forcible. Miss Forcible. I fucking lost it at that name.
And they love the theater, and so in this version, all the dogs are alive and in the audience, and they're putting on this a fantastic show, and it's this big old sequence that's very fun. And even in her fantasy, they unzip their bodies and become like younger, prettier versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Her dad has this crazy piano that like plays for him. Everything kind of runs on like a kid logic.
Yeah.
And that's a very inviting environment. It's like a living amusement park. And so I guess what I was getting to is that there's this contrast. There's the beautiful environment in this fantasy world, and then the real life. And that's very much like a lot of kids' stories, right?
Yeah.
Your Alice in Wonderlands and whatnot. And what the movie does is as the intent gets more sinister, they basically swap the environments. But they don't actually visually swap them. The fantasy world becomes sinister, and the real world becomes warm and inviting, just as it is. And I thought that was really, really well done.
It is, yeah.
In this movie,
like you say, they never actually change the colors or the visuals of the pleasant pocket dimension. It's just Coraline starts realizing that it's not right. It's kind of whack. It's kind of whack ass.
It's kind of whack ass. When does she first realizes it? When she's first like, I'm your other mom, and then slowly she starts saying, I'm your mom.
Yeah.
And so like I said, they all have buttons sewed on their eyes, and it's like a little weird for a kid, but it's still fun. And then they're like, you could stay here. You could stay here with us. Like, they make it optional, because at first she goes to sleep and she's just back in the real world, and she just keeps visiting the place because she's fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
And then she agrees because her parents in the real world, they aren't paying attention to her. She gets in a fight with her mom because her mom won't buy her these gloves that she wants. And she's like, sure. And they're like, you just have to do one thing. And they present her with the fucking buttons and a sewing kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh.
It's like sliding her a cup of Kool-Aid. You have to die.
Yeah, exactly.
I like what this well, I don't know if that's the right way to set that thought up, but I like what the movie is saying about how it's all false, right? It's like we see that the dad is not really like that. He's just some kind of pumpkin that's just doing what she says. She's got like other mother has like we see that the mice in the upstairs neighbors mice circus are actually these horrible rats that are just in this,
the fantasy starts breaking apart.
Yeah.
Revealing that there's like the dad when he starts becoming like creepy at the piano and like he's puppeted by it. Mm-hmm. And then he slowly becomes this like weird zombie that is sad. Like he doesn't want her to stay there. All the puppets are kind of what's the kid's name? Wybie, who is definitely going to become a murderer in real life.
Yeah, probably.
But like you realize like Wybie is like this annoying neighborhood kid. And he's got his cool dirt bike. He's cool. And he skulks around like Igor and hunts slugs and she's annoyed with him in the real world. So when she meets him in the fantasy, other mother is like, I got rid of the talking because I know you don't like that.
Yeah, I know you don't like this kid speaking to you. You think he talks too much is what it is.
Right. You realize that there's a doll that she has in the real world that she's been using to spy on her. Mm-hmm. And so like Wybie becomes kind of like this sad, creepy character. There's a great moment when like, I think it's when they take her to dinner and the other world Wybie, he knows that they're going to do the buttons. He knows that she's going to do the thing. And he's like sad. He's at the door and he's sad. And the mother just kind of turns to him and points to her mouth and gives a little smile like, oh, you got to smile, Wybie. And then later you see that she's sewn his mouth into a smile.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, that's creepy. It's some creepy shit.
Yeah, it gets pretty gnarly. And I love that it, like, the lesson kind of winds up being you gotta exist in this sort of dreary, more, not disappointing, but less... just the real world is maybe less flashy and attractive, but it's like it's more fulfilling, and I don't know, there's something in here I think about not disappearing into fantasy and how like fantasy never lasts.
I think my personal take on it is that this movie is about cults. It's basically telling kids, if anybody's selling you happiness, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Like if anybody's selling you this perfect existence, they're wrong. Existence isn't always going to be happy. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have to work. People have to toil. They don't like it. But you have to do these things in life. And so if anybody comes along and sells you this like idea of this perfect universe, guaranteed under all that, there's something very dark happening.
Yeah, there's also something in there about friction between the mother and daughter, right? Because that's who Coraline has the most conflict with, is her mom. Like, it seems like her mom doesn't have any time for it. It seems like her mom's not interested. And then the bit about not getting her the mittens that she wants, and the implication there, which we can understand, but Coraline misses, is that they can't afford the mittens. Right. She says something to the effect of, we can't do that. I'll make it up to you in a couple of weeks, or once we get done with the catalog, I'll make it up to you, because Coraline's mom and dad seem to be writers that write like catalogs. Yeah,
they're writing about gardening, but as they keep pointing out, they're not actually gardening.
No, it's just a gig they took.
She has a mug that says I Heart Mulch, which I want that mug.
Yeah. It's the store that they drop the dad off at when they go into town. Yeah. The store is actually called I Heart Mulch. Yeah.
It's like the idea that when we're young, we have all these dreams, and then when we get older, we have to compromise our dreams while trying to still be in the ballpark.
Yeah.
So it's that idea that they're like writing about gardening, but not actually getting to garden. Although at the end they finally do. Mm-hmm. because they have time. What the reality is, they're just really cramming for this. You're a writer, I'm a writer. When watching this, I was like, leave them alone, kid.
Yeah.
They got a deadline.
He's
and
got
then
a
I realized
fucking
I'm a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I realized I've become these monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just it's her mom seems really irrationally unpleasant, but it's more, we recognize that they're under this deadline crunch, and it just doesn't. I don't know. I'm having a lot of thoughts about this movie that aren't exactly coalescing.
That's kind of what the movie is, though. But I would say it's that the movie's from the perspective of a child. So the parents seem needlessly mean. All the other adults are weird.
Yeah.
Like, they're shaped weird, they act weird, and it's because when you're a kid, stranger adults, eccentric adults are weird. I always remember, this has stuck with me for so long, a dream my mother had as a kid that she was getting chased by a skeleton, and then the skeleton had coffee with her mom, and it was like, yeah, that's childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some adults seem like fucking ghouls when you're a kid.
What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah. And so it's all from that perspective, I think. And so there's this, I don't know, I think there's it's designed so that kids get something from it and adults get something from it.
And there's a clear puberty thing going on there, right? It's about Coraline moving into adolescence from being a little girl. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's very much on purpose, I think. I don't know how old this book is, but it feels like a subversion of Alice in Wonderland, because it's like magic portal. You're a kid. What are you going to do? You got to go in the magic portal. Like if I was a kid, I had a magic portal. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go in there. But then you might get kidnapped. And it starts like it's very much Alice in Wonderland, but Alice in Wonderland doesn't have that like morality to it, I guess. Where like at the end of Alice's adventure, it's just like, wow, what an adventure. And it was like real and like, okay, whatever. And this is more about like what a fantasy world means and what a world like that means, where logic is very much thrown out the window. You're being promised all these great things. Again, it really feels like a cult to me.
Yeah.
And so it's the reality of like, chances are, if you go into a magical world, it wants something from you. It's probably sinister. Kids shouldn't crawl into magical portals in general.
Definitely not. I mean, no, you should. Any kids listening to this, absolutely crawl through magical portals, because you're going to have a fantastic adventure.
That's true. You are. She does come out of it all right. Because there's the other rule where like she does like a riddle deal with the spider lady, and I was like,
she really Gollums her ass.
Yeah, and it was like, listen, just kidnap the kid. Like, they're kids. But whatever.
They all have to operate, again, it's kid logic. So they all have to operate on these real weird rules.
Yeah.
And also part of the other mother or the Beldam's deal is that she wants the kids to come there willingly.
Right. But she gets gaslit slowly because it's I'm your other mother, and then I'm your mother, and then it's like, you can come and go, and then it's like, you can't go. Because that's what, of course, it comes to, is that she gets trapped in the world. She meets, she goes through a mirror and finds these dead kids that are like, she took our eyes. Could you find our eyes for us? It's not your main mission, but it's like a side mission.
Do you want to pick up the side quest? You'll get some sick XP from it.
Yeah, and in that, she manages to escape the world that one time, and when she gets home, her parents are gone. Also, throughout all of this, the black cat that's like a stray cat can talk in the fantasy world and sounds like Keith David, which, what a great
That's
thing
the fantasy world I want to go to, where cats speak with the voice of Keith David.
I didn't know he was in it, and then the moment he started talking, I was like, oh, we have a movie now.
It's like, oh, that's Keith David.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And so the other mother has kidnapped her parents. And so it's very good. It's a very good third act thing to do, because it means that she's gotten out, but she has to go back in willingly.
It's not enough that she has to reject the fantasy world. She has to restore her real life parents, who are kind of dreary and not as fun and exciting as the fantasy world parents, but they're her real parents.
And she has to defeat them.
Yeah.
Defeat the world. And then on the side, save these stupid dead kids.
Yeah.
So, like...
These miserable-ass American Girl doll dead kids.
Yeah.
Like,
and
she's other mother's been running this scam for a minute. Like,
she really has.
There's some, like, dead pilgrims in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, how old is this boarding house?
Again, it's beautifully, like, Lovecraftian that way. Where
it really
it's
is.
Like, she's been there for a very long time.
It's like, what a fun way to introduce children to cosmic horror.
I know. This is cosmic horror.
It is.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I did not expect that from this movie. The beginning credits is like this robot skeleton hand making a doll.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought... So I didn't know what this was about at all. All I knew was there was a button-eyed doll, and it was like the Nightmare Before Christmas people. So I thought, like, oh, is it going to be like about dolls who talk? Is it going to be like a gothic toy story? Or like a little girl who turns into a doll? And so when it began with this horrifying robot skeleton making the doll, I was like, I need to reassess things.
Yeah. Right. Need to make an adjustment here.
This is. Yeah. Yeah, I thought the scariness was going to be less abstract, less cosmic horror, and more like, ooh, spiders and zombies. You know, I thought it was that level of...
Mm-hmm. Right, because the beldam never fully becomes a spider.
No, it's just implied.
There's webs around her, and she grows a bunch of extra legs, and her porcelain mask starts to crack, but she never actually becomes a spider. It's all the suggestion of it, and very close. It brushes up against it, but it never literally explodes into just like fucking tarantula face.
Yeah, but it's just fucking terrifying. Mm-hmm. So she goes back in. She makes this riddle deal where she's like, all right, I get to find the dead kid's eyes and my parents, and if I find them successfully, I can go. There's like a time limit, and if not, I'll stay here. You know,
and I'll pop my own peepers out with this little needle and thread.
Right, and so she gets from who does she get the seeing stone thing from? Is that Wybe's grandma? Because Wybe's grandma is like one of the kids who her like sister got lost in the house.
She gets it from the two actresses who live in the basement.
Right, because they're like psychics. They read tea leaves and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so she finds out that when she looks through the stone, it'll highlight, much again like a side quest on a video game. You put on your assassin vision, and it highlights the place you got to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's Batman's detective vision in the Arkham games.
Exactly. And so I think the first thing she has to do is go up to the mouse circus. No, that's the last thing. The first thing she goes into the garden. She goes into the garden and finds one of the eyes, one of the children's immortal souls, is trapped in the fake dad's like tractor. Right.
The second one is it's with the two actresses in the basement who are this scene is fucking wild, where they're like gummy people wrapped up together in like a weird cocoon.
Oh my god, I totally fucking forgot that.
Yeah.
That was I think my brain just protected me from that.
And all the dogs are like bat dogs hanging upside down from the ceiling. Yeah, and then the rats fuck her up. Yeah, the rats beat the Christ out of her. Yeah, she goes upstairs to Mr. Bobinski's apartment, and he's just a suit of clothes just filled with rats. It's just rats steering a suit like it's a man. Yeah.
What's important is that all the elements when this world was welcoming are still there.
Yeah.
Like the cotton candy cannons are suddenly a problem for her. Like, because they're nailing her with cotton candy.
Yeah.
And she can't move. And the cat catches the rat, which is a callback.
Mm-hmm.
Keith David helps her out. And then, so she gets the eyeball. She figures out where the parents are, but she realizes that obviously this spider lady isn't going to let her go. So she tricks her she says, oh, my parents are in the crawl space. And so she gets her to unlock the crawl space. It's a very kid story technique.
Yeah, it's a real shove the witch into the oven moment.
Yeah, and so that frees her, and then she grabs everything and fucking runs for it, and then they have spider fight, and the villain takes her final form. The house starts dissolving around her. That's another aspect of this.
Yeah, that was dope as shit. Like, every eye she collects starts to unmake the pocket dimension, the world, and then finally it chases her inside, where the house is the only thing that's left. But the house is slowly deteriorating, and it does this by the wallpaper. It's
peeling. Yeah.
It's peeling up on itself, which was really sweet.
It was really sweet. It's like The Matrix. It reminded me of The Matrix.
Yeah.
The dream is collapsing and everything's unwinding. And like there's this white void, which was, again, very cosmic horror, where it's like, this universe, this dimension, there's nothing else but this house. If you go too far, it's like, spoilers, the 13th floor. Like, it's just like, there's nothing. One of my favorite parts, she uses her wits against this witch lady and also throws a fucking cat at her.
Yeah, just flings the cat into her face. It's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah, I like that. Like, when it happens, I was like, that cat didn't seemed betrayed by that. And then later she apologizes, like, oh, okay, good.
Also, because the cat fucks off after that. Like, it fucks the other mother up, but then it leaves through the crawl space while Coraline is struggling in the spider web. He's like, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah, the cat...
Let me know how it turns out.
The cat can speak, but it's not like a person turns into a cat. It's still a cat.
It's still a cat, yeah.
Yeah, it's got other things going on. If this doesn't work out, the cat will be fine. The cats will forget in a week what any of this happened.
Yeah.
But she gets out with everybody, and it seems like everything's good. Her parents are there, and they don't remember what happened. She should just burn that house to the ground.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. Although I'd be scared, because if you burn it to the ground, maybe that opens the dimension. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't live there anymore.
No. Yeah, I'd fake like a home invasion or something.
Right. So she has the key, and there's only one key to this portal, and she knows, I gotta get rid of this fucking key at least. And this is where we learn also that one of the creepy other mother spider hands has made it through the portal.
Yeah,
it got stuck.
Yeah, she shut the door on it to escape.
Yeah.
And so now this spider hand comes through and is trying to fuck her up and take the key.
Yeah. And they have, and I thought the movie was over, but they do the thing where she goes to, there's this well that they also set up, doesn't matter. She goes to drop this thing in the well, and I mean, melt it down, but whatever, she's a kid.
Yeah. I can throw it into the sea.
Yeah. And the hand is trying to get it. She has to fight this fucking robot spider hand, and that shitty kid shows up, helps save the day.
Yeah.
It's very much like they're burying a body. They like throw it into the well with a rock and the rest of the hand.
It's Dolores Claiborne starring 2 fifth graders.
Yeah. And they're like, we shall never speak of this. And I can't help to think about, it's the Pinocchio thing. When she's like 30, she's going to be like, I have this vague memory of this other world with like button eyes, and that can't be real, right? I had some sort of traumatic experience, and like...
Yeah, she's going to like go to visit her mom and be like, Mom, you're not like secretly a Wild Wild West spider, are you?
Yeah, because I seem to remember you
I have this
turning
memory.
into one.
Yeah.
It's very blurry now, but yeah, it's going to be fucking a lifetime of therapy. But yeah, and then there's the ending where they have
either that or like a real bitchin' heroin addiction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, at least.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, she's not coming back from any of this.
Minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a shame. But yeah. Yeah, and then the movie ends.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have a big garden party for her parents to celebrate their finishing their catalog deadline on time, and all the neighbors come out, and we're finally getting together. And it's a nice, like, happy little ending of like, see, you can get to know all these people in a more adult way. She's interacting with them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the mom buys her gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, the more it really is jumping out at me. It's like, this is really, I mean, it's about a lot of things. Like, it's got a lot of themes, but like the one that's sticking out to me the most right now is leaving childhood behind.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's her basically having to destroy a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Violently so, and then bury it
and liberate all the spirits of the murdered pilgrim children trapped within.
Yeah. It's fucking dark.
Like you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Coraline. It's man, and the whole time again, it's very beautiful. It's very slow paced.
Mm-hmm.
Like what the stuff we missed is like yeah, when she goes to visit these crazy characters, the movie sort of stops to like you just get to live in like these little musical numbers that they do. The dad at the piano.
Yeah.
The mice circus. The ladies with their trapeze weird bullshit. That's actually like I liked that stuff, but it was the least compelling to me because it's just we're gonna stop and do a sequence here. Like,
yeah.
And that's the shit that the kids will love. You know?
Well, and it's specifically for the kid. Like all that stuff was put on to lure Coraline in there.
Right. Oh yes. But also just for kids. But
yeah,
this very much sets the tone as we're not just for kids, this company. Like we're making stuff for for everybody.
Be mindful of that PG rating.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much in line with the later stuff that they would do. Similarly, big ideas, big themes. Yeah, kind of profound themes is more the word I'm thinking of. For a children's movie. Yeah, what they do that I say Pixar doesn't do, and I love a good Pixar. I'm not knocking Pixar, but Pixar tends to sort of lecture. You know what I mean? Like Pixar, their messages are a lot more clear. They're a lot more in your face. It's a lot. They're a lot more last 38 seconds of a G.I. Joe episode. Yeah, like and again, I like a lot of Pixar specifically because they do that sometimes, but this is just feels more art house. It feels more like it's about something, but you're gonna have to kind of work for it. Mm-hmm. And if you're a kid, it's similar to horror today, where it's like we're gonna actually put a message in here. We might not like conclusively say anything about it, but it'll be about something. Yeah. Something real. And that'll be a thread throughout that you'll either enjoy or you won't even notice, and you'll just like the movie as is. Yeah. Like, without that. Yeah, and I think we mentioned previously, like to quote Red Letter Media, your brain noticed it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're experiencing these themes, and I don't know. You said the word abstract earlier, and that's really that's very apt. That's what it is. It's like talking about a very specific thing, but doing it in a real abstract way. It was a really nice surprise because I don't think I ever reflected on what this movie meant until us talking about it. So I knew coming out of it, like, oh, that was definitely something. But it's just really nice to go into a movie, expect something that's like a fairly superficial kids movie. I'm expecting something more in the lines of Nightmare Before Christmas, which great movie. And then getting something with cosmic horror and being like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And then coming out of it, getting to actually think about it. Like my first focus was just that I wanted Ian McShane's life in this, just like a weird cheese monster. Yeah. Training mice in an attic. Yeah. Addict. Like, that's great. Doing a lot of aerobics on his wooden balcony. Mm-hmm. Just being a real fucking creep. Yeah, just being an absolute maniac. Yeah. Getting cheese mailed to somebody else's house. I don't know why. Maybe Interpol's on his ass. He's definitely... his life ends in handcuffs, right? Yeah. I mean, handcuffs will be in the room where his life ends. Yeah. He's got it all figured out. Yeah, no, he's got he's got a goal, mouse circus, and he knows exactly what he needs to do to achieve it. Cheese. One of my notes just says this girl should call the cops. I have no idea what the context is, but it could apply to any moment in this movie. It could apply to any scene in this film. Yeah.
This girl needs to call the cops.
Somebody needs to call the police.
Someone needs to, figure this shit out.
Some sort of authority figure needs to get involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so good times. I that's pretty much it. I was almost afraid we wouldn't have much to talk about just because this movie is quite good.
Yeah.
And mostly just these long visual moments.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like working out the meaning now.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, that my biggest takeaway is that it is this, like I said, profound theme that it's kind of difficult to pin down right away. Like I know, like this made me feel a certain way and think about certain things, but it's hard to, like, it doesn't quite gel until you sit down and start thinking about it.
Yeah, and maybe if you ask the filmmakers what they think it's about, they would have a very clear answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more like the tone that we've been talking about, the slower tone, these sequences that are very visual. It's more like a piece of visual art that's trying to invoke emotions that get you to a certain place that you can apply to your own life.
Yeah. It's a little impressionistic that way.
Yeah. So yeah, shit. That's all I got, Tom. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I was reading, because you had mentioned earlier, you're not sure when the book was published. It was published in 2002.
No shit.
Won a Hugo Award.
Good.
I think that's just like par for the course for Neil Gaiman. I think he's probably got a bunch of those.
Right.
But it came about because he mistyped the word Coraline.
Huh.
Yeah. He typed it wrong, and he's like, "Oh, that's an interesting name. I should develop a story based on somebody called that."
What is he doing at the time? Was he like writing about the Neil Diamond song or something?
I think he was probably typing something about Coraline in the City.
Oh yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's a big fan.
Everyone's favorite show.
Right. Yeah, in 2002, you said?
That's when
Everybody was talking about Caroline in the
that's
City.
when it was published. Holy fuck. It says, according to the Wikipedia entry, he started writing it in 1990.
Wow. So, okay. I don't mean to come down on him. Feels like you could have written this quicker.
Listen, he did other things during that time.
Okay. Yes, yeah. Maybe it's a situation where he put it on the back burner and he got back around to it. I'm not judging him. Look, I'm not judging. It's fine. It's fine. Also, the cat, very cute. Very cute cat.
Yeah, the cat rules. But it wasn't like overly Disney cute. It was kind of mangy.
Yeah, that's why I liked it. It reminded me of my cat. It's a little rat. It's a little shitty rat cat. It's great.
Fucking shit cat.
Little shit cat. It disappears at the end. I'm not sure what that means, but I think I think it's just the general idea that the cat is otherworldly because it's a cat.
Because it's a cat. The cat walks freely between the worlds.
We love that idea
and
when the reality...
I was just going to say, he's the only character apart from Coraline that's able to do that.
Oh, yeah. We just love mysterious cats, even though I think it's a combination of just that the way they stare at things, their eye focus is different than ours. So they're just always trying to detect movement, and then they just look stoic, and they're mostly just possums. But we love making them like mystical. When they're just like
they're just little. They're barely any different from rats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're just large rats.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It would if my cat could talk like Keith David, it would just mostly ask for food.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
But in Keith David's voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Delightful. I think that might be a sode. I think we might be finished.
I think we're finished.
Are we finished?
I didn't expect this one to go longer because it's just a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it I don't really have I usually try to dig up a critique when we do movies where it's I'll find something. In this one I was just I don't know, A+.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, and it's just I really enjoyed it. Really good movie. Good job, Harrison Millie.
Yeah,
you get a star. Our first star.
You get button eyes.
You get button eyes.
And a gigantic rat that speaks with Keith David's voice.
Listen, folks, this was through our Patreon. If you're interested, you can go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have a tier there where people can request their own We Just Watched episodes. But along with that, for just $5 a month, we have a bunch of exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our brand new Spiel Boys. Can you reveal what you're doing next?
We can't, because we actually haven't decided yet.
Fair enough, Tom.
Yeah. Peek behind the curtain. We actually haven't had a single conversation about the next episode yet. So, yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Exciting
Catch
stuff.
that Spiel Boys fever. Yeah, we also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store. We have lots of cool original artwork and designs for all of our different shows, which you can check out. You can get it on t-shirts and stickers and posters and all kinds of shit. So, go crawl through your tiny little hobbit door and visit our store.
Yeah, crawl into our hole.
Crawl through our hobbit hole.
Yeah, there's magic inside.
Drag
Trust
your
us.
cat with you.
Yeah, do it.
Shove your cat in our hole.
That's what we always say.
Yeah, you guys know.
You know our motto.
Our classic catchphrase.
Shove your cat in our hole. Gamefully unemployed.